Unlike warriors who relied on steel and strength, Merlin's greatest weapons were his mind, his magic, and his ability to manipulate reality itself. But just how powerful was he? And what were the limits of his abilities? As we touched on briefly, Merlin's most defining ability was his gift of prophecy, a power that made him both revered and feared. He did not simply predict vague possibilities or educated guesses about the future. He saw events unfold with terrifying clarity, often long before they happened. But his visions were not always straightforward. They came to him in cryptic riddles, symbols, and glimpses of fate that were often difficult to interpret. This made his prophecies both valuable and dangerous. Kings and warlords sought his guidance, but many feared him as well. After all, knowing the future meant holding power over those who did not. Merlin's magic wasn't just about seeing the future, it was about controlling perception. Some versions of his story suggest that Merlin comes from a time before Christianity, representing the last remnants of the ancient Druidic traditions. He sees Camelot as a fleeting moment, a bright flame that will burn out, just as every kingdom before it has. He understands that Arthur's rule is not the beginning of something eternal, but the last stand of something fading. Yet rather than resist it, he ensures that it happens. Merlin's role is not to stop change, but to guide it. Despite his immense power, Merlin is deeply alone. His knowledge of the future separates him from other men. He cannot form real friendships because he already knows how they will end. He does not fall in love because he understands the cost of attachment. He does not build a home because he is never meant to stay in one place. Unlike Arthur, who is surrounded by knights, friends, and allies, Merlin walks a solitary path. He does not belong to the world he helped shape. He exists outside of it, watching, guiding, but never truly belonging. Now, Merlin was no longer just a wild prophet of the woods. He was a trusted advisor to kings, standing at the heart of Britain's destiny. This is the version of Merlin that would inspire later medieval writers, shaping how we imagine wizards even today. He is often depicted as an old man with a long flowing beard, a sign of his wisdom and power. He wears long robes, sometimes adorned with stars and arcane symbols, reinforcing his mystical status. His eyes are piercing, filled with knowledge beyond mortal understanding, and he often carries a wooden staff, either as a walking aid or as a focus for his magic. This version of Merlin is calm, composed, and deliberate. He moves between the world of men and the world of prophecy, never fully belonging to either. This depiction of Merlin, the wise old wizard in the long robes with the flowing beard, became the template for nearly every wizard in fiction that followed. From Gandalf in The Lord of the Rings to Dumbledore in Harry Potter. During the 14th and 15th centuries, when alchemy, astrology, and hidden sciences became popular, Merlin was reimagined as a scholar and philosopher. Instead of wandering the forests, he now appears in hidden towers or grand libraries, studying secret knowledge. He is associated with alchemy, the practice of transforming materials and seeking eternal wisdom. He is sometimes depicted surrounded by books and scrolls, suggesting he has access to ancient texts long forgotten. And some versions even claim that Merlin built Stonehenge, using his magical knowledge to transport the massive stones from Ireland. This version of Merlin, while still a sorcerer, is also a man of science and intellect. He represents the idea that knowledge itself is a kind of magic, and that those who understand the hidden laws of the universe can control them. This portrayal was likely influenced by real-life scholars and alchemists of the time, who were often rumored to possess mystical powers due to their understanding of astronomy, chemistry, and natural philosophy.